Claire Anderson sat at the small cafe table, hands wrapped around her coffee mug, watching the late afternoon light stream through the windows. At 25, she'd been on enough disappointing first dates to recognize when she was being stood up, 30 minutes late. No text, no call. Another failed setup from a well-meaning friend who swore this guy is different. She was about to leave when the door opened, and a man walked in carrying an enormous bouquet of white daisies. He was probably late 20s, wearing an expensive-looking gray coat over dark jeans, and he looked completely out of place in this modest neighborhood cafe. He scanned the room, locked eyes with Claire, and walked directly to her table. "Claire Anderson," he asked. "That's me. You must be Ethan." She'd forgotten his last name. Her friend had mentioned it once. Ethan Mercer. "I'm so sorry I'm late. Traffic was terrible." He handed her the flowers. "These are for you, daisies. Your friend mentioned they're your favorite." Claire took the bouquet overwhelmed. "This is really sweet, but it's a lot for a first date. I know. Can I sit down?" Claire nodded, and Ethan sat across from her. Up close, she could see he was nervous despite his polished appearance. He ordered coffee, and they began the awkward dance of first date small talk. Except Ethan didn't do small talk. He asked deep questions about her dreams, her childhood, what made her happy, what scared her. Claire found herself opening up in ways she normally didn't with strangers. "You work at a bookstore?" Ethan asked. "Yeah, it doesn't pay much, but I love it. Being surrounded by stories all day, helping people find the perfect book, it's everything I wanted." "That's beautiful. Most people I know measure success in money. You measure it in meaning." They talked for 2 hours. Claire learned that Ethan worked in finance, but was vague about details. He asked about her family, her apartment with 3 roommates, her student loans, her dream of someday owning a small bookshop of her own. As the cafe began closing, Ethan walked Claire to her bus stop. "I had a really great time tonight," Claire said. "Thank you for the flowers and the conversation. Claire, can I ask you something? And please don't think I'm insane, okay?" Ethan took a breath, then got down on one knee, right there on the sidewalk. Claire felt her heart stop. "What are you doing? Will you marry me?" Claire stared at him, certain this was some kind of cruel prank. "You're joking. This is a joke, right? Someone put you up to this?" "I'm completely serious. I know this makes no sense. We just met. But I've never felt more certain about anything in my life. Marry me, Claire." Claire took several steps back. "You're crazy. I'm leaving. I don't know what kind of game this is, but I'm not playing." She turned and walked away quickly, leaving Ethan kneeling on the sidewalk with a ring box in his hand. The next day, Claire told her friend about the disastrous date he proposed. After one date, her friend sounded shocked. Wow. Ethan never mentioned he was planning that." "Wait, you know him well?" "I work with him. He's my boss, actually. Ethan Mercer, CEO of Mercer Capital. Didn't I mention that?" Claire felt the blood drain from her face. "Your boss is a CEO? Of a major investment firm?" "Yeah, he's actually kind of famous in finance circles. And very, very wealthy. Like billionaire wealthy. Why would a billionaire CEO propose to a bookstore clerk on a first date? This has to be a prank. Or he's mentally unstable. Ethan's the sanest person I know. But he's also impulsive when he's certain about something. He makes billion-dollar decisions in minutes. Maybe he just knew." Claire spent the next week trying to forget about the strange evening. But Ethan didn't make it easy. Flowers arrived at the bookstore every day with simple notes. "I meant it. Ethan, not a prank. Ethan, please give me a chance to explain." "Ethan, finally," Claire texted the number on one of the cards. "You can't propose to someone you just met. That's not how relationships work." Ethan's response came immediately. "I know it seems insane. Can we have coffee? Let me explain. No pressure, no proposal. Just conversation. Against her better judgment, Claire agreed to meet him at the same cafe. "I need to tell you why I did what I did," Ethan said, once they were seated. "And you're going to think I'm even crazier than you already do. Try me. My grandfather built Mercer Capital from nothing. Before he died last year, he told me that when I met the right person, I'd know immediately. He said he'd known with my grandmother after one conversation. They were married for 52 years. I always thought that was impossible. Until I met you. Claire sipped her coffee. That's very romantic, but it's also delusional. You don't know me? You're right. But I know how I felt sitting across from you. I know that in 2 hours, you told me more about what matters in life than I've learned in years of business school and corporate meetings. I know that you measure success in meaning, not money. I know that you light up when you talk about books, and you care more about helping people find stories than climbing any kind of ladder. That doesn't mean we should get married. No, it doesn't. But it means I want to get to know you better. If after that you think I'm crazy, I'll accept it. But Claire, I've spent my entire life being calculated and strategic. For once, I want to take a chance on something I can feel in my bones is right. Claire studied him carefully. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to date. Like normal people. No proposals, no grand gestures. Just getting to know each other. If in 6 months we still feel this way, we can talk about next steps. Dio, Ethan smiled. Deal. They dated for 8 months. Slowly, carefully. Claire insisted on paying for her own meals, on taking buses instead of his car service, on keeping her apartment with roommates. Ethan respected her boundaries while also showing her his world. Charity galas, business dinners. The weight of running a billion-dollar company. I don't fit in your world, Claire said after a particularly awkward gala where she'd felt completely out of place. You don't have to fit. You just have to be yourself. That's what I fell in love with. 10 months after that disastrous first date proposal, Ethan asked again. This time at the bookstore where Claire worked, surrounded by the stories she loved. I promised I'd wait, Ethan said. It's been 10 months. I know you better now. You know me better. And I'm more certain than I was on day one. Marry me, Claire. Not because of some family story or impulsive feeling, but because we've built something real. Because you challenge me and ground me and make me remember what actually matters. Claire looked at this man who'd had the audacity to propose on a first date, who'd respected her boundaries while never giving up, who'd learned to love books because she loved them. Yes, she said. But we're having a long engagement, so you can't accuse me of being impulsive. At their wedding 2 years later, Ethan told the story of his disastrous first date proposal. Everyone thought I was insane, including Claire, and they were probably right. You shouldn't propose to someone you just met. But sometimes you meet someone and you just know. The trick is being patient enough to let them know too. Claire made me wait, made me prove it wasn't just impulse. And in doing so, she gave us something stronger than any instant certainty could have created. Claire added her own words. Ethan proposed after one date, and I thought it was a prank. But here's what I learned. Sometimes crazy looks like confidence. Sometimes impossible looks like certainty. And sometimes the right person shows up in the most unexpected way with the most ridiculous timing. It makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about how love should work. The billionaire who'd proposed too soon had been right about the connection but wrong about the timing. And the bookstore clerk who'd walked away from a crazy proposal had learned that the best love stories don't follow the expected plot. They write their own ending. If this story touched you, like, share, and subscribe. Comment about taking chances on impossible-seeming connections.